Morning. Mark.
Morning.
All right, for all of those who showed up on time. Hey, Mark, how are you? If you're still joining with us a little bit later, she's printing. Yeah.
Wait for me.
Uh-oh, she's telling me the princess is saying wait. Actually, it's the queen.
No, it's okay.
The
You
queen
can
is
start.
spoken.
You can start.
Oh, now I get permission to go. Anyways, we will get started. To get started today, we're gonna come to the middle parts of our mat and bring our feet together. And then we're gonna open up so that the toes aim away from the center line of your mats. Bring a little V shape with your feet. Ask you to put a little bend in your knee and let them kind of drift forward. And then we're gonna kind of zip it up. So we're gonna like push from the heels and draw both of the knees in together. So we have a nice straight platform that's solid. From the hips down, we're gonna draw up the shoulders. We're gonna rotate the palms to face backwards today. And I want you to take a little look at what's going on with your shoulders. Are they rotated internally, or can we actually engage the muscles of the back, draw them backwards? As we keep the arms straight, palms back, I'm gonna ask you to now to rotate your thumbs in reverse, sorry, inwardly and backwards, so that the palms open to space at the side or have some variation thereof. And I'm gonna ask you to now roll your shoulders forward and then open them back up and then roll in and retract, and do that a few more times, keeping the arms reaching down to the earth. Now, on this last repetition, hold back, open the palms to face forward. Draw the shoulders up to the ears, and with them being drawn up to the ears, let's spiral the thumbs backwards. So now the palms open up, face away from the body. Drawing the shoulders back, take your hips like a chop point, draw backwards, and now take your thumbs, which you have hands with fingers separated wide. You're going to take the thumbs and draw them up towards the sky. High up as they go. And then as you inhale, roll the chest, proud it out. And then as you exhale, keep the chest proud and bring the hands straight forward, palms facing. Now your body here is going to be kind of floating on the feet a little bit. And I'd like you to kind of find an anchoring point as such. I'd like you to find a distribution of weight between the heel and the ball of the toe and make it equal in terms of its weight bearing. And once you have that, let's get the arms moving down and back and forward and up. Palms are facing each other all the way through this whole movement. We're going to add on to it. Now, range of motion, how far up and how far back can you go? Now, hold up. We're going to spiral the thumbs down and in, sweep back. We're going to sweep back up, open up the palms all the way, and sweep back. And between the two, we're going to continue our mobility through the shoulders, flipping the palms in and out as we transverse between front and back. Now we're going to hold back, keeping the chest proud. We're going to step the heels out, so now we're having feet hip width apart. We still have a little bit of a lean in. I'd like you to draw back, because we're going to kind of cantilever our body weight over the heels. Now, as you draw back, we're going to change the weight bearing, not equal, more pronounced to the heels. And when we have that, I'd like you to try to spiral the heels away from the center line of the body. Now, arms come forward, chest height, palms facing, fingers separated widely. Push forward with the shoulders, draw back with the shoulders. And repeat that a few times, reaching, drawing, and reaching and drawing. Now, when you draw back this time, proud of the chest, and when you push forward, let it collapse forward. Draw up, proud, forward and draw in. Draw back, proud, you've got the movement, right? Let's continue. And we remain with this external rotation of the heel, so we should feel a little bit of burning on those outside hips of ours. Now, hold forward, stand tall, let the arms fall, open the palms and sweep the shoulders backwards. And although I can't do it, I'm going to ask you to do it. Sweep your arms to the sky, all the way up. I have an overhead fan, so I can't really do that right now. Right. Just in case you're wondering why, it's not an injury. Now, as you exhale, fold all the way down. Upper body should be nice and warm now. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. Keep the back in extension. Drift your hips backwards. Most of the weight bearing back in those heels of ours. As you exhale, let the upper body fold down. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold. And repeat this a few times. Now, on the next extension, hold onto it and draw the hips backwards. As best you can now, I'd like you to straighten the legs as you create spinal extension. You're just going to create a big pull in those hammies of yours. Now, we're going to relieve that tension by bending the knees. And then we're going to bring it back by extending the legs. So there's two things we're working on extension of. The back with the spine itself, and we're doing flexion and extension through the knees. So I'd like you to kind of work the range of motion to what feels best for you today. But if you can, try to make some emphasis on the upward distance. So that's how straight those knees get. All right, now hold both. Legs extended straight, spine extended straight. Draw the hips backwards, walk the hands forward. Take a powerful inhale. And as you exhale, let the spine flex. Just hang out. Walk the hands forward a little more if you can. And as you inhale, extend the spine. Walk forward and come down onto all fours. As we come into our quadruped or all four position, let's just work a little bit with our shoulders. We've warmed them up previously. So now we're going to kind of work some scapular activation, scapular muscles. So I like you to kind of let the chest drop down in between the arms, keeping the arms straight. Let's help with that a little bit. Let's take your elbows and spiral them inwardly. And then keep that inwardly spiral as you push through the earth and elevate the upper body. And then keep the elbows spiraling in as you lower the upper body in between the arms. So as we do this a few times, I'd like you to do it nice and slow. And then let's hold in the down position. While we hold here now, I'd like you to let your head kind of drift towards the earth. And then imagine you've got a string tied into the center part of your upper back. As the head descends to the earth, I'd like you to pull that string and kind of tuck under with the hips. And we know this is kind of our cat in yoga, right? So we're going to keep the cat and we're going to drift the hips backwards towards the heels, keeping those arms nice and long, locked out at the elbows almost. And then when we float forward, I'd like you to keep the cat. And we're going to keep the cat floated back and float it forward. And see if you can increase the range of motion. You can go flat on the tops of your feet if that helps you get the back a little further. And keeping that nice flexion in that thoracic spine. Very important right now. Oh, should feel really good. Now hold up and let's reverse this. Now let's tuck the toes under if you're flat to the tops. And then let that chest drift down. And then imagine you got two strings attached, back of the head and the tailbone. I'd like you to kind of pull those strings to the sky And really what we're doing is we're kind of creating a extension through that upper neck or upper back, the neck, of course. And we're kind of rotating our pelvic girdle towards the sky. It's like the tailbone's like rolling up. And we have this nice arching going on through the back. And then hold on this as you drift the hips backwards and forward. You might notice that the range has changed slightly. That's because we've articulated the spine and our pelvic girdle. So how we're able to roll through, it's a little different. It's a different muscle activation. Drifting slowly back, keeping those arms straight. We're not doing push-ups, right? We're just moving through the hips presently and then coming up. And then neutral the spine. And then let's articulate between cat and cow. You just do whatever you need to do. And if you want to add a float back and forward, incorporate that into this movement right now. It's all good stuff. Me personally, I like to kind of pull forward cat and then flip it when I come all the way forward. And then drift it back and then tie it forward. And cow it back. And I'm going to ask everyone to hold up now. Tuck your toes under if they're not presently tucked. Float the knees. Hold the hips up in the sky. Drive the heels to the earth. And walk your hands back to your feet. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. As you exhale, fold. As you unfold, reach up and salute the sun. On our sun salutes now, I'd like you to keep the arm forward of the head. So we're not going to reach back and that old stuff and try that old stuff. Excuse me, I'm a little choked up. Now, if you keep the hands separated nicely, I'd like you to take your elbows and spiral them into each other and open the palms to face the sky. Reach a little higher, pull a little higher. Try not to tense through the neck. Take a big inhale, and as you exhale, draw the hips backwards. Oh. Keep pulling those fingers towards the sky. Keep those arms nice and long. Keep that same elevation as you come back up to stand. Reaching for the sky. Arms slightly posterior to the head. A little bit in front, a little proud of it. Now draw back the hips. Keep those legs straight. Keep those arms reaching straight out. So we're not trying to move the angle of the arms at all. Come back up and you should feel a nice tension to the upper back. And maybe a little bit into the low back as you draw back the hips, come back to stand. And then one more time, draw it back. This time, bring hands over heart. I know it's a lot of work for those muscles. But if you don't work them, they don't get stronger and they don't function as well as we want them to. Hello, how's your day going? All right, now, with hands separated widely, finger on top of finger, palms pushing into each other. We have a slight forward lean. I'm going to ask you now to protect. And that's simply by engaging that six-pack muscle. It's almost like I've got a big cannon about to fire that proverbial cannonball. Engage those muscles. Now, as the palms push together, extend the arms out. And as they draw back together, keep that forward push or that into it. The push into each other. In, out. Now, flip the hands forward. And then flip them back as you draw back in. Keep the pressure in the palms. Now hold out, stand tall, sweep the arms nice and wide. Are you doing your own exercise over there?
I didn't know if you sweep them out, not up.
Yeah. All right, now with your fingers separated widely, I'd like you to use them as the mechanism to pull the arms long. You relax through the neck, of course. We're going to flutter forward and back slightly. So it's this forward and back, same elevation, same plane, just moving the arms forward and back as the fingers kind of pull out and away from the body. They're pulling everything, the arm, the shoulders, you've got all that going on. You're kind of fluttering with the arms. We're going to keep on this for a couple more of my sentences, because I know you love to hear my voice. And then we're going to stop and flip the arms. The palms, I'm sorry, so they face backwards and then open and close, if you will, up and back, keeping the arms same elevation. Those little fine muscles in and around the shoulders, kind of burning, maybe talking a little bit. It's all good. making sure I'm expanding across, pulling two opposite ends away from the center. Keep it going, and then relax the arms, shake them out, draw the shoulders up to the ears, proud of your chest. I'm gonna step back onto my mat. I'm gonna bring my feet now out to the edges of the mat with my toes turning towards the center line. As I engage the legs, I'm really driving the heels of the foot. And now, like a leaning tower of Pisa, right? It has kind of a lean to it. I like you to keep everything straight from your ankles all the way up through your head. I'm going to just make a ski jumper type of effort here by taking the palms facing forward, expanding the hands nice and wide. You're going to draw the elbows backwards, keep that chest nice and proud, and we're going to hinge through the ankles. So we have a lot of pressure now coming into the front part of the foot.
Lean forward.
Yeah, lean forward, leaning tower of Pisa. There we go. That's the analogy, right? We're kind of our own little leaning tower, a little slice of Italy. Here we go. Now, as we hold on this, we're going to bring the arms forward and serve them up, shoulder height, or just less if you need. Turn the palms to face the sky and draw the forearms together. Now, keep that lean. We're not chopping through the hips. We have a big forward lean. And draw the elbows, trace the rib cage, draw them all the way backwards, and then serve it back out again. Keep the leaning tower of Pisa the best you can. All the way back, all the way forward. And then one more time, hold back, flip the palms to face, and then make fists out of your hands with your thumbs aiming to the sky. We're going to step the feet to face straight forward if they weren't. And with that now, we're going to make the chop point the hips. So let's draw back the hips, keeping the spine nice and long. And I kind of call these good mornings. As we get down, we get to check out our pedicure. Oh my goodness, something needs clipping. Keeping the spine nice and long for this whole movement. So this is a great exercise for hip mobility, and in particular, those strong gluteal muscles should be the primary movers here, and they're garnering all of the strength that it needs to move your upper body between the 2 points. This is really a hip flexion and extension exercise, but we're keeping isometrically activated all of the muscles of the upper body and of the lower and middle part of the legs. So our glutes should be hard at work. Go through these repetitions nice and slowly. Shouldn't feel overly strenuous, but this is a good neuromuscular facilitation. There's a big word, or a series of them. And we're just basically practicing muscle recruitment with our nervous system and muscular system. Not that we're getting too technical, even though we are, making those muscles a little more alive and active, always good because we sit on them all day, basically. Let's do a few more reps. And then we're going to hold up this time. We're going to have a little bit of a progression. So if you need to shake your arms out, do so. If you can, just hold them on where they are, keeping that chest nice and proud, keeping that upper body nice and engaged. We're ready for that cannonball still. And we're going to add a little bit of nuance here. So when we come down, I'd like you to come down slowly, hold on this, proud of the chest, and then sweep the arms forward and rise back up. Again, the height of the arms and the distance is slightly in front. Draw the elbows back, fold forward, extend the arms out, unhinge through the hips, coming back tall. And do it again. Okay. There's that fan. All right, now hold up, and then let's take our hips, push to the right, push to the center and back, over the opposite side, and back center, opposite side. Keep the legs nice and straight. Come back center, hold. Excuse me. As we hold on this, we're going to come back to this exercise and add another progression. So I want you to set it up again, engaged, long, strong. Bring the arms back into the elbow position, fists are made. Holding forward, actually, before we fold forward now, I'd like you to make an external rotation of the heels. So it's an isometric thing. I like you to try to spiral them up from the midline, and I like you to keep that activation as you fold forward, keep the spine long. Now that we've introduced a new pattern, old patterns like to take over, but I like you to kind of be more of a defeatist there and stop it from happening. Coming down, coming up, keep the external rotation of those heels active through the whole range of motion. So we come up this time, we're going to switch up on the next descent, coming down, external rotation active, arms push forward, unhinge, come all the way up, draw those elbows back, all the way down, extend out, keep those heels working best you can. We're going to do a couple more reps. On the next fold, fold all the way down. Walk your toes straight forward. Inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, walk it out, plank. Exhale, let that chest drop in between the arms. Inhale, hold the plank. Spiral the elbows inwardly, not locking through them. Draw the hips up and back to down dog. Coming back forward to plank. Make it a count of about 4 or 5. Drifting back and drifting forward. As you make the movement, try not to push out of the shoulders. Try to keep them dropping in, if you know what I mean. Drawing back slowly. Coming back. Hang on for 1 second. Now, see if you can drop in. If you weren't able to, good stuff. This is where we want to be. We're going to do another couple reps. Dropped in, swing back. Come back forward, still dropped in. Do it one more time. And then lower your knees to the ground when you arrive back in your plank. Down on your knees. Separate the knees to the width of the mat. Take the tops of your feet onto the mat, the toes angling, big toes angling into each other. We have a nice wide base. We're going to grip backwards with the hips. If your knees are not loving it, that's fine. You don't need to drift back so far. You can add cushioning if it's needed. I'm going to walk my hands forward, keeping my spine nice and long, keeping my chest proud, walking forward a little more, get that nice lat release, and I'm slowly lowering down, keeping the spine long. And then slowly walking back, keeping the spine long. And then I'm going to flip up onto my toes and do a couple cat cows. After I've done a couple, I'm going to start floating backward and forward, cat cowing, kowtowing, just moving. What feels good for my body and your body the same. And we're going to hold, neutralize the spine, take the back of the head to the sky, come up off the knees, pull the hips upward and backward, and walk the hands all the way back to the feet. Float forward and back. Find equal weight, front to back of the foot. Inhale, extend the spine, keep it long. Keep the spine long as you drift the hips backwards. Keep the spine long as you walk your hands forward. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, let the spine just hang up, let it flex, do whatever. See if you can straighten out the legs.
See if you can push the ball of each big toe into the mat. As you straighten out the legs, ball of big toe. Inhale, extend into a flat back. Exhale, bend both knees. Step your palms onto your shins. This is how we're going to come out of this today. As you inhale, push the palms to the shin, crowd out the chest, grow your neck long. Imagine this is a string tied on the head, pulling it at a 45-degree angle, chest is proud. Now remember how we work through the shoulders, dropping in and out of those arms of ours. I think you're proud of the chest, going to drop into the arms as you keep pressure of the palms on the shin. Now, if your knees have decided to splay open, if you're feeling this on the outside of the foot, I'd like you to rotate the ball of each big toe, keep it connected, lower the hips, raise the shoulders, arms sweep forward, rise up slowly. Now, hold here. Similar to what we did before, external rotation of the heels through the whole range of motion. So activate that external rotation and lower the hips down. As you lower, watch what's going on with those knees. I'd like you to try to track them in the same spot. You might notice that the lower part of the range, that heel push wants to fall off. I'd like you to keep it as active as you can, all the way down and all the way up. Try this a couple more times. Oh. And as we come down, hold down, raise the arms, take a couple breaths. And as you release the last breath, come up to a hands over hearts. Shake it out. Oh, there's a pop. Grab some water. Good morning, everybody. Big warm up today. Lots of upper body work. All good mobility stuff. Oh, you're smiling. Nice.
Waiting,
All right, I'm waiting.
what are we doing?
What are we doing? We're gonna do some more stuff. Just gotta catch my breath. As you inhale, sweep your arms to the sky. As you exhale, draw the hips backwards, fold down. I'm at the back of my mat, but wherever you are, walk out to your plank. And then drop your knees down to the earth, not under the hips. Way behind. So like if you were in plank and you just dropped your knees to the earth, you know, that's kind of where we are. Now, scapular movement. We're gonna let the arms and the elbows, or we're gonna have the elbows spiral in so the arms are relatively straight. Separate them a little wider, so the base, the palms are a little wider than the shoulder girdle. And I'm gonna keep those elbows spiraling in. I'm gonna ask you to engage the six pack and then lower the hips. And then when we hips down to the spot where they're lowered, if you disengage those those abdominal muscles, and you feel the spinal muscles a little more compressed, I like you to reset, like you draw the hips up. Six pack remains engaged as the hips lower towards the earth. You should feel a pull in those tummy muscles. Keep that as you lower and raise the upper body through the arms. And if you're feeling this in the neck, it's the wrong spot to be feeling it. Keep it relaxed. This should be felt more in the belly and through the shoulders as we articulate up and down. And we're going to hold up, draw back the hips, come into child's pose, and hang out for a couple seconds. Here's the, how about a couple minutes? All right, now that we're done with that, we're gonna come onto our back sides. Smooth transition. I'm gonna grab some more water. Never underestimate the importance of water. All right, now we are in our staff pose. We have, Pete, I'd like you to extend out
And I'd like you to keep the extension and then bring your hands, a little bit of self-love stuff, you don't really do enough of this, but. I'm gonna basically take my two thumbs, and we have a shin bone. And on the right, I'm on my right leg, so on the outside of that shin, right side of that shin bone, I'm gonna take both thumbs. And before I start, I'd like you to kind of figure out where your kneecap is. And there's a little bone just off to the right of that kneecap, just down and right. And from that point, I'd like you to take your two thumbs and kind of push into that. And if it feels any tingling going down the leg, that's perfectly normal. We're gonna kind of just loss out this nerve and these muscles. And I like you to just slowly, with the pressure that's appropriate, all the way down to your ankle. And then come back up and do it again. Now, if you don't have any lotion on the legs, this might be a little more problematic, so you can just step it down. You can actually walk your fingers, or you can actually walk your thumbs down the legs. And then when you come up this time, I'm gonna switch sides. Same thing, opposite side, find that little bone, and then that's the start point, and then push all the way down to that nice tingly release. That's your anterior tibialis, your AT. And that muscle gets so abused when we have our ankles in flexion from sitting. So it's just a little love for that muscle. You can do this anytime you want to. Yeah, nice. Now, let's do a double. Yeah. Oh, more. Just take the thumb on each side. You know the positioning. You just run it all the way down. And then when we've done that, come back up. Okay, this is not stretching. I get it. This is what it's still important stuff. Now we're gonna keep the feet flexed. You might notice that, well, those muscles feel like they're a lot more energized right now, right? Good stuff. Now, the feet flex, we're gonna make ourselves nice and proud, hands on our thighs. And we're gonna take the elbows and draw them backwards. And as we do so, we're kind of like pulling, lifting out of our rib cage, pulling with our head, keeping that nice and long. And then we're gonna come out with the arms. Everything should have remained the same. All back to those shoulders, keep those fingers nice and wide, drop the chin. C-curve the spine, come on down. Arm sweep all the way back. And as we continue on exercising our abdominals, we're gonna come back up Pilates style. Keep the flexion in the spine. Keep the flexion in the spine, and then one vertebrae at a time, come all the way down. All the way back with the arms, all the way back up. You're going to continue this for a few more repetitions. On this next rep, we're going to reach forward, we're going to hold on this. See if you can let that upper body sink into the legs a little more. This is more for our hamstrings, also for our gluteals. You're probably going to notice the tension more in the hamstrings, that's fine. Now, point and flex the toes. And then hold the feet in flexion. Back up into our staff pose. Gonna put your palms on your thighs, kind of wrapping them. And we're gonna take your elbows and pull them in towards the rib cage. As you keep nice and proud, I'd like you to take your right side head, drop it down, so the right ear to the right shoulder, and back center. Switch sides, slowly go like this. These lengthening exercises
are often met with compensation. So when you try to pull the shoulders up to the ears, just keep the shoulders retracted down, back, pulling outwards actually. As you just articulate, so move from side to side. Back center, hold up, take your right palm. Now I just make a little wee V with my finger and thumb, and I put it on my jaw. And we're gonna take that, the elbow up high, and I'm gonna resist the push of my right arm. So I push my head to the left. I give a little bit of resistance. And then I resist as I return back to the same point. And let's do this a couple of times on the same side. And see on second and third time if you can increase the range of motion of the turn. And when you've done your 2 or 3, opposite side. Good morning. Yeah, it's just the right amount of resistance. This is actually a nice strength / stretch for these muscles that get abused when we sit for long periods of time. All right, coming back center, shake it all out. Keeping that chest nice and proud. We're going to walk the hands forward, go back into spinal flexion. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. Keep the back in extension, walk it back. When you arrive back at staff, Pilates style, bring it down. Pull the knees up and into the chest. Rock them in and out, forward and back. And then walk all the way up to a seated position and slowly lower back down. And walk up to a seated position and then slowly lower back down. And the next time up, hold up, sweep the legs around, coming into a low plank pose, step, wheel, turn, whatever you need to do to get there. You're going to start off on the floor or with our pelvic girdle on the floor. And I'm going to ask you to walk your elbows, not under, but slightly forward of your shoulders. And open up the palms, separate the fingers widely. Now we practiced this earlier. Watch. Down, up. I'd like you to be down right now in your shoulders with your toes tucked under and your pubis area kind of connected to the mat, as are your hands, elbows, knees, and tucked in toes. We're going to keep the knees down and we're going to engage the 6-pack muscle. And while it's engaging, I'd like you to take your hips and draw them up into the air. And then slowly lower back down. And continue on this for a few more repetitions. And if you immediately notice trembling, you finally connected to those abdominal infrastructure muscles that help to stabilize the low back. That trembling is a good thing. Muscle awareness, if you will. Now, hold up and then lower down. And then let's check back in with our arms, shoulders in particular, and the chest. Have you risen out of those shoulders? If so, I'd like you to lower back down and continue the exercise. So really, we're just moving between 2 points. Down onto the pubis, and the butt pulls up and into the air slowly while you're engaged with your 6-pack muscle. And I'm feeling this now. I don't know about you, but this is a tough exercise. Now hold up, step your hands back, and come up onto your knees. Oh, thank goodness, that's still so good. Talk about having a strong core. Those muscles we were just working there, you probably felt them build over time. So this is a good foundational exercise. Really helps that pelvic girdle engage the muscles a lot better for your other abdominals to be more functional. Now, we're going to have our hands right beside the body, palms facing, and draw the shoulders up. If you need cushioning for the knees, that's towel, whatever you need. I just grip my hips back ever so slightly. So more of the fatty part
is on the mat. You can do the same if you don't have a towel. Now I'm gonna bring my hands up onto my hips, and I'm gonna rock over so thumbs are on the back, fingers front. And I'm gonna start to proud out my chest and throw towards the sun. That whole chest is gonna pull you forward and up. And if I feel compression in my low back, I'm gonna kind of reset. And this is how you reset. You kind of lower the hips, bring the body more upright, and you engage the six pack, the rectus abdominis, and you keep it active as you proud out the chest, the sun, you're growing, the gaze is going upwards, the whole spinal column is growing, which means we're not compressing. And if we feel compression, something's out of whack, it's not right. Now, if you can, I'd like you to push your hips forward, draw the spine nice and long, and then as you exhale, pull the hips back, lower them to the heels, walk out to child's pose. Walk out your arms to child's pose. And then walk it back in, back onto all fours, cat and cow. Now, while you're doing cat-cow, let's float the knees. This is advanced, so if you need to come back onto your knees, please do so. Let's everyone lower down, and then step your feet forward, up. All the way forward, I'm gonna bring my feet to the edges of the mats. I'm gonna come back down, full body style, of course. When I arrive there, I'm gonna take my right leg, step it over my left leg. So I bend my knee, step my foot over the leg, and then I'm gonna return it back to its spot. Do the same thing on the left side. And I'm gonna alternate side to side. On the next repetition, where that right foot is stepped over the left leg, and gonna hold on that. Then I'm gonna take my left arm and reach it up towards that right knee. Let's see if I can kind of grab that knee and hold. I'm trying to keep that, excuse me, right foot on the earth. So it's kind of like a crunch of sorts. Holding up, relaxing back down, sweeping up, and lowering back down. And do that a couple more times. On the next rep, hold it down, extend that right leg out, bring that left foot over, take the right hand, reach up and grab, and come back down, and do a few reps on this side also. All right, let's fold it down, extend the legs all the way out. I'm gonna rock the pelvis a little bit. So some of us have the inability to have enough strength of the muscles that allow us to pelvic rock with the legs extended. Excuse me. So if you're like me, because that's who I'm describing, you're gonna step your feet in a little bit, and we're going to basically rotate the pelvic backwards. So that's the back side, the top of the back rolling down onto the mat. And conversely, it's like the front, the pubis area kind of pulling up towards the sky. And that engagement of a six pack helps facilitate that. So we're going to keep your six pack muscle active as we hold on this. Let's bring the hands up to the sky. Drop your chin into the chest and begin to pull vertebrae by vertebrae up off the mat. And then slowly come back down. And it's really the upper spine. Just segment by segment of the spine coming up and coming back down. While we've kept that walk back of the pelvic girdle, it should feel pretty intense on those six pack muscles. Oh. Come back up, hold. And then lower back down slowly. And let's do that 2 more times. Go up, hold. And slowly lower. And 1 more time. And extend the legs and arms opposite direction. And pull fingers and toes opposite direction. Fill your lungs with air. As you exhale, pull the knees up and into the chest. Forehead comes up to meet knees. We're rocking and rolling forward to back. Coming up to a seated position. Excuse me. Figure 4. Right leg extends, left foot comes in. As we center on the leg, walk out the hands. We have one hand on each side of the leg, of course, as we lower down. Try to lower with extension of the spine, and then when you hit that spot where you can't go anymore, let the spine flex. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, flex. On this extension, lock it back in, switch up sides. So much to do, so little time to do it. But anyways, we've got a great class. Inhale, extend. Exhale, flex. Do that a couple more times. On this repetition, walk it back in. Extend both legs out. Let's bring our hands over hearts so I can thank you for joining us today.
That's
Namaste.